This episode is brought to you by GuitarExclusive.com. Visit now for buying guides, reviews, and more. GuitarExclusive.com. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Rock and Roll podcast. Check out this record. My name is Frank. With me is my good buddy, Mark.
Hey, Frank. Hello, listener.
You can find us, that's the two of us, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and you can see these mugs on YouTube.
But when does this wonderful, charming little podcast get released? When is it hot off the presses? Great question, Frank. I'm really happy you asked.
Thank you.
We drop new episodes every Friday for your listening and viewing pleasure.
That's right. And if you're hearing us for the first time, then you're probably not annoyed with our past reviews. So welcome. We review records track by track. We have a lot of musical discussions. We do spotlight episodes, which we might even include some mysteries in the mix. And we've only just scratched the surface, so we're just getting warmed up with all the cool stuff we got going on, right, Mark?
That's right. And it's very cool. We're very warm. Be sure to check out our Versus series, where we pick two bands or albums or songs against each other and make them duke it out for total stereo domination.
Man, it gets better every time. It gets better.
Try to keep it brief. I thought maybe that'd be fun. I don't know.
No, I liked it. A lot of depth, but warmth. It was great. It was great. So be sure to check us out on Instagram, Facebook. Hopefully these episodes will leave you wanting more of our musical goodness. And of course, that guy, Mark, his random nonsense. If you got a record you want us to check out, drop us a comment wherever you find us. Like and subscribe. Give us a review. So always, I'm going to say this. Mark, what's the haps?
You know, Frankie, I'm getting a little itchy around here, a little itchy around the collar. I need me some live music. Need me a quick fix, man. How about you?
Well, Mark, I've been feeling like a simpleton, to be honest with you, this week with regards to my musical knowledge, as I've been kicking myself for not getting more into the band we're going to talk about, and that's Thin Lizzy. You know, I'm kicking myself for not getting more into them earlier in life. You know, sometimes when you're younger and you're just in such a box with your musical taste, it doesn't allow you to go beyond that. But now, with the beauty of this podcast, we get to get into Thin Lizzy and one amazing album, Live and Dangerous, right, Mark?
Oh, yes. And the Live and Dangerous was just what I needed this week. To be fair to Frank, Thin Lizzy is one of the great unsung heroes of 70s hard rock world. Everybody knows the hits, but they don't know those albums. And it's really a shame because the albums are great. The live record is great. We're going to talk about it. Why don't you give us a little taste about what you've learned over the last week about this great band in your discovery of Thin Lizzy?
Absolutely. So let's do a brief history leading up to this album. So Thin Lizzy was formed in 1969 in Dublin, Ireland, and the name refers to a robot, Thin Lizzy, from a Scottish comic strip called The Dandy, which the band adjusted to Thin Lizzy. Phil Leinart would eventually say, because it's the accent and the way they say things. As for the band, founding members, you have Brian Downey on drums, Phil Leinart on bass guitar and lead vocals, and they met in school, and they would work together until Phil Leinart's death in 1986. However, there was a revolving door of guitarists, which would be a constant in the band's career. Eric Bell eventually became the guitarist, and the band was a three-piece in the beginning. And musically, it was Celtic with some hard rock leanings. And they had their first hit, which was a traditional Irish ballad, "Whiskey in the Jar," which I believe Metallica covered on their Garage Inc.
They certainly did.
There you go. The band did not feel that this song represented their sound, so Bell then left the band after a concert on New Year's Eve in 1973, later citing ill health caused by the band's lifestyle as a reason for the departure. Who knows what went on, right? Gary Moore entered on guitar, but would leave after a few short months. And lineup, he wanted to expand the lineup and just didn't want two guitarists. He wanted two lead guitarist. This is so fascinating, right? Eventually acquiring the skills of Scott Gorham from California and Brian Robertson from Scotland. And they would go on to be the member of Mark's beloved Motorhead for a brief stint, which is pretty cool. For me
Mhm.
personally, this is where the sound really becomes something special, especially with Scott's playing, as I personally found it to be just freakishly amazing. The first album to feature the quartet was Nightlife, and that's the band's fourth record overall. And in 1974, that was in 1974, followed by 1975's Fighting. And then 76 would get a little record called Jailbreak,
I
which
think I've
would
heard of
be,
that.
yeah, right, which would become the band's breakthrough record with amazing songs such as Jailbreak, Emerald, and a little tune everyone knows is The Boys Are Back in Town.
Mhm.
By this time, the twin guitar sound was really developed and refined. We'll get to that aspect of the band for sure as we're discussing the songs here. In 1976, also brought us the album Johnny the Fox, and 77 brings us Bad Reputation.
But may I chime in here, Frank?
Oh, I would hope you would. Yes.
Yeah, so on Bad Reputation, the cover is just three dudes. It's Lynette, Downey, and Scott Graham. Um, and the reason for that is most of the tracks are actually only the three quarters of the band, with guitarist Brian Robertson only credited on a total of three tracks. He missed most of the previous tour following a hand injury sustained in a brawl and was effectively out of the band.
Ooh.
But Graham insisted that Robinson needed to be on the album, and he left solos unfinished so they'd have no choice but to bring him back to finish the songs. It would end up being his last studio effort with Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Again, the revolving door of what went on here with the with the guitars. So then we get to 1978, and we get this very album, Live and Dangerous. As you stated last week, Mark, we have the overdubs controversy here. This
Mhm.
came about when Lina went to producer Tony Viscotti and wanted to redo a bass part that he messed up on. After that was fixed, then some guitar parts went through the same production. Visconti stated that 75% of this album was recorded in a studio, which has led to a disagreement from the band. Personally, I don't care if this album, I don't care at all because this album to me is just a ripping hammer that destroys everything in its sight. Mark, do you think that this is something that dilutes the album?
Not at all, Frank, and I'll tell you why.
Hmm, go ahead then.
Okay, I will. There are so many contradictory stories about how much was fixed in post production that you can't really take any of it as gospel, right? For me, it's just about the vibe that this record got before I heard about any of the drama, and that vibe is a rockin' one. Plus, old Brian Robinson is quoted as saying that about the allegations surrounding the album that it's just not true. The only reason we said it was recorded uh, was obviously for tax reasons. So everything Viscotti claims is bollocks.
Oh,
Yeah, that sounds like some serious 70 rock and roll shenanigans to me. And it would explain, why there's no definitive answer on how much is overdubbed on this record and how much isn't.
yeah. I mean, it would make sense, and everyone seems to have their own kind of different take and different story on it. Well, that said, let's go track by track. But since it's 17 tracks, Mark, I think it's best if we alternate, right?
Yeah, and with this being our first live album, Frank and I will be pointing out which album each song came from and any fun facts about those performances we can dig up. Like this tidbit. Frank, did you know that this album would climb all the way to number two in the UK charts? And in 2004, it was ranked the best live album of all time by Classic Rock Magazine. This episode is brought to you by Classic Rock Magazine if they pay us. Otherwise, it's not. Pretty fucking cool, right?
I think that is pretty awesome. And one thing, in my research and in reference to this is at the time there wasn't really a lot of like live albums as well. The band referenced that Peter Frampton had one, and I can't really speak of that album to be honest with you, but it's just pretty cool the whole allure of this album. And man, I'm so stoked to get into it. What about you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to jailbreak right into it.
Ah, I see what you did there.
The title track from the band's sixth album and arguably their breakout album, Jailbreak, is a rocking number about breaking out from the places and things that would hold you back, and the trouble of breaking those bonds will cause. It's one of those songs that perfectly identifies why a band is so good. We get amazing performances from everyone in the band, amazing guitar work. The rhythm section never misses a beat. Phil's singing his ass off,
Oh,
and the
so
energy from the
good.
crowd is simply electric from the go. And it's clear that the band is feeling it and giving it back. It's unfortunate that this is one of only two songs the band is known for by most people, because it's awesome, but there's so much more and so many more amazing tracks to go. Frank, why don't you tell them about the next one?
Yes, I will. So second track is Emerald, which is also from the Jailbreak record. Now, Lynott had a fascination with Irish history and in particular the legends of the Emerald Isle, hence the song Emerald. This song is epic as hell. I mean, the dueling lead guitar work here is phenomenal, phenomenal. It's amazing. You get a great song ready without all the lead work, and it could have just been the music and the lyrics for all I care, and the melodies. But you put these solos in there, and it's just fantastic. Just an incredible tune. And I love the placement of it right after Jailbreak. So, second track is Emerald. Mark, back to you.
Yeah, track three, we're going for a slightly slower number here. We got Southbound from 1977's Bad Reputation. Well, that spins us a tale a tale many of us can relate to. It appears a depression strikes the world, but it's safe to say it's hit him personally too, and he's going to escape before it consumes him. He tells you why he can't stay in the North. He tells you that the West has already been conquered, and he tells you even that the East's old ways have come and gone. So he's pushing the only direction left, south. Musically, it's a bit subdued, which is kind of nice. We're toning it down after two kind of rocking tracks. But it's really nice because you get to see what this band can do when they're not just full pedal to the metal rocking out. Lynette's voice delivery here is so calm and collected that you feel his character's steadfast determination to find a better life, with purpose and intent, and not just running away. It's really his performance, and the way he delivers the words is so key. He's chasing his dreams, excuse me, like Jason Voorhees would chase a camp counselor, methodically, and just an absolute stunning number. Back to
you,
you, Frank.
Thank you, Mark. And just to add on this was like the first one where it really I was like, this is such a well constructed and written song. And of course, I do that with a lot of these, but since it's early on in the set here, I'm like, it really stuck out as a fantastic number, and it was just great. And track four is Rosalie, Cowgirls slash Cowgirl song. It's a Bob Seger tune, and it's featured on the Lizzie album Fighting from 1975. Seger's version is from 1972, and it has a raw, kind of unpolished blues rock sound, which is great. And Lizzie here makes it straight up rock and roll slash hard rock, and they put that spin on it, which is sounds fantastic, especially when the volume is up. So the song is great as the Seeger tune. To me, it's even more epic and awesome as the Thin Lizzy tune. So back to you, Mark.
Absolutely. We're at track five, Dancing in the Moonlight, another great track from Bad Reputation. Not to be confused with King Harvest's 1973 hit of the same name, which most people think is Van Morrison, but isn't.
Right.
Anyways, what Thin Lizzy does give us is a wonderful tune about love and the hypnotic nature of dancing with a beautiful girl in the moonlight, no matter the cost, especially at the young age. There's some imagery where he describes taking a girl to the movies and that he always gets chocolate on his pants because he's just a kid in love. And it's just really, really great songwriting, and an ability to really paint a picture. On top of that, we get just like great guitar solos,
Oh,
and even a cool sax solo on this one from John Earl of the Graham Parker Band. Really cool number.
yeah. And you mentioned Morrison, and he had the Moon Dance song, and so kind of moon. So I kind of had that all going on, but
Mhm.
this shows how you could really make like a really grooving song and not be corny. And I think it's one of the just the all around great rock and roll songs, and it's not that even that rock and roll. Speaking of rock and roll, I had
Yeah.
the pleasure of drawing Massacre, man, from the Johnny the Fox album. Man, oh man, oh man. Oh man, oh man. Listen, if I had to pick a favorite, it would be tough, but this may be it. I mean, this sounds like a massacre in every positive to me connotation. I mean, Phil Lynott wrote the lyrics after he was visited by a Protestant clergyman while lying in the hospital. Now, Lynott, who was a Catholic, became defensive but regretted his decision later. So he wrote the lyrics, and that's how the foundation of this became. Listen, the solos here, you could tell where Metallica was influenced on points of Ride the Lightning. I mean, the lyrics, the riffs, when Lynott singing this is just beautiful. And I'm surprised it's not a more, unless it is, I just don't know about it. It's not a more commonly covered song by rock bands. It's such a big sounding song. It's very aggressive. This is one of those. Is it hard rock or is it metal? Regardless, in my opinion, I think it's one of the best rock songs of all time.
Wow, bold statement there, Frankie.
I know.
I really fell in love with this next song. It's track 7, "Still in Love with You" from 1974's Nightlife.
Oof.
We kind of get like a full blown ballad here, well before the cliche of power ballads.
Right.
And what those cliches wish they could be, this is a love song, so poetic in nature that you'd expect it from a guy like Paul McCartney and not a party animal like Phil Lynott. The guitar work here is perfection. The band captures the heartache and despair sonically that Lynott penned lyrically and just turns it into a stunning, stunning blues rock number.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going on record saying it could be one of the like best rock love songs too of all time, just the way it's constructed. I mean,
Mhm.
fantastic, fantastic. Now we got Johnny the Fox. He's gonna meet a guy named Jimmy the Weed, and it's from the Johnny the Fox album. I love the title of the song and the overall groove. They do such a good job at incorporating different rhythm structures, proving they're not a one-trick pony, which is awesome. It's a cool song, and I tell you what, I'm intrigued by this Johnny the Fox and Jimmy the Weed. So
Mhm.
you had me right there, and
It's
it's
definitely a fun record to check out.
yeah.
Definitely, that record's so cool and interesting. Track number 9 is "Cowboy Song," another album, or excuse me, another amazing track from Jailbreak. Kind of funny after our episode on the Pogues, available in our archives if you haven't heard it yet. But we get another song from an Irishman about wanting to be a cowboy and going to the Wild West. Um, we get a tune worthy of the likening it to the boss. I mean, the lyrics here are really stunning. I picked just a handful
Yeah.
to share with you guys, and I won't go too crazy with it. "I'm just a cowboy, lonesome on the trail. A starry night, the campfire light, the coyote call, and the howling winds wail. So I ride out the old sundown. I'm just a cowboy, lonesome on the trail. Lord, I'm just thinking about a certain female. The night we spent together riding on the range. Looking back, it doesn't seem so strange."
Whew.
Yeah, it's one of those lines where I think if female had been swapped out for Jenny, for Maria, for a
Yeah, you're
common
right,
name,
man. You're right.
this would have been a massive hit everywhere just because it would have had that one little hit of connection. I
Yeah.
think it's beautiful just the way it is because it kind of gives you that, thinking about that certain female. But of course, cowboys are so known for never stopping in one place for so long that that one female is probably not real. She's probably just in his head, and that's why it
Right.
works so
Yeah.
beautifully. But
Yeah.
I absolutely love Cowboy Song. It's just
Uh,
so cool how much Irish people love the
I
old West.
know. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And this is another this is another reason to hate songs like Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi because they are so generic and then you see this and it can mean so many different things.
Hey
And
Frank,
yes,
fuck Bon Jovi.
that's right. Yes.
Yeah,
Screw you.
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi. Not you, Mark. Bon Jovi. All right, number 10. We got The Boys Are Back in Town.
Mhm.
Everybody knows the song. I mean, my daughters know the song. I mean, they don't know Thin Lizzy yet. That is, it's from the Jailbreak record again. I mean, this is the song they're known for. Everyone knows the song, and rightfully so. The lyrics are often thought to be about a Manchester street gang called the Quality Street Gang. Of course, vocalist Phil Lynott's mother ran an illegal drinking den where the gang would go and where Phil met them. If this is true or not, it's pretty awesome if you think
It's
about
pretty
it.
awesome.
It's pretty it's pretty awesome. Um, listen, it's a classic tune, and I'm not just saying this because I fell in love with the band this week in this album, but I don't get tired of this tune. So yeah, anytime it plays, I'm into it, man. Back to you.
Radical. Track 11, Don't Believe a Word, also from the fantastic record Johnny the Fox. Frank, look at me. Look at me. Can you see me? Can you see
I
me?
oh, I can.
This song fucking rules, dude.
It
We
does.
get an aggressive guitar riff, a dynamic performance out of everyone on this track. That's wild here is how, excuse me, what's wild here is how straightforward the lyrics of this song are. If you remember last week's episode when I gave the Foo Fighters a whole bunch of shit for using the title of the song as its chorus and then repeating that chorus 40 dozen times, well, you might expect me to do that here, but you'd be dead fucking wrong. This song is the perfect example of how that concept is done right. Why? Great question, Frank. I'm happy you asked.
Thank you.
Because he's not just beating the one line to death. He's not just saying, don't believe a word, don't believe a word, don't believe a word. He's saying, don't believe a word when I tell you I love you. Don't believe a word when I say that I can. It's how he uses it. It's the way he uses it to play off the rest of the lyrics, to play off the rest of the song. So he's telling you, hey, when I tell you don't believe a word, when I tell you I love you, that means something. And for all of this to clock in at just under 2 minutes and 20 seconds, this is like quite possibly the first punk rock love song. It's just, I mean, fantastic track. It hits all the right emotional buttons for me in terms of speed, sound, content. If you're gonna write one of those songs where the chorus is the title, take a look at this and rethink the fucking world you know, and don't just say waiting on a wall, waiting on a wall, waiting on a wall, waiting on a
I was so
wall.
thinking that.
So thank you
Yeah.
for letting me take that break. Frank?
Yeah. And ugh, waiting on war. But anyway, this song, listen, I think a lot of this could also, as you were talking, it made me think of, the early days of Thin Lizzy and Linus, um, the Celtic and the Irish kind of history. Because if you break down kind of what you just said without hearing the music, it has some folk elements in it. But then you put it in at 2 minutes and 20 seconds and you add all the elements that make it up. That's why you get a good song. And you're saying he's building off of it, which is important. They're not just saying waiting on a war 1,000 times and at 50 different points of the song. So I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Um, Track 12 is Warrior, again from the Jailbreak album. It's a great build up here and Linux, man. I mean, he's holding down the fort with that driving bass. It's like a piston, man. I love how this has a 70s rock vibe, but you could tell it's of a higher quality than the typical 70 rock tunes. So because it doesn't sound that dated. This I mean it kind of practically the whole album. It's really timeless, and I love these lyrics. So fate will have to wait till time heals the scar. See, my heart is ruled by Venus and my head by Mars. Great stuff, man. Great stuff.
Yeah, those are great lyrics, dude.
Yeah, dude. Your turn.
Track 13, Are You Ready?
Oh, I am.
This one's pretty special because it only appears on this live album and would later be released in 1981 on an EP called Live Killers, with tracks like Dear Miss Lonely Hearts and the track Bad Reputation as the B-side. It was often used by the band as an opening track to their sets, and according to some sweet trivia I found, it doesn't have a question mark as it's a rhetorical question. Of course you're ready to rock.
Duh. Yeah.
This is one of those awesome songs about how awesome rock and roll is and how much fun we're about to have rocking with the band.
Yeah.
It's fast paced and it just has some really rad solos, and dude, the song rocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Great tune. Great tune. We got 14 here, and track 14 is Suicide from the Fighting album. Now, listen, it's such a polarizing topic in the song in general, but they do such a great job of the way that it rocks and also hits you in the chest with heartache. Musically, it has this classical hard rock slash metal, excuse me, characteristics, which again shows how this band can really write these great masterful songs and use their natural foundation and building upon it.
Mhm.
Line at space again, playing here. It just the points match the guitar riffs, which is so pleasing to the ear. Listen, the lyrics here: the paper called suicide, a bullet from a 45. Nobody cared, nobody cried. Don't make it, don't it make you want to boogie? Like that to me is so cool. And then it rides off into the sunset with the solo and the ending. Um, Perfect, just perfect, man. Great tune.
Yeah, absolutely. Track 15 is Sha-la-la from
Sha-la-la.
Nightlife, we're treated to a rocking piece of magic they call voodoo. Look, lyrically, it's probably one of the silliest songs. At one point, Lynette offers the subject of his affection his quote unquote jelly roll. Um, if you can get past the lyrical content there and just hang with the music, we get a killer guitar riff and a totally badass drum solo that sends the crowd into a frenzy. It's really
Yeah.
cool. It sounds great live. You can tell, especially if you look at the lyrics for this song, the idea here is to get in and rock, and he just kind of filled in where it made sense. And sometimes those lyrics come out dumb and maybe a little misogynistic with things like offering a girl to put your jelly roll. You never, I don't need to get into it. It's a cool fucking song.
Yeah, and obviously they placed it, down, right, way down in the track list too. So there's probably a methodical nature to, hey, we're gonna place this here.
Yeah,
And like you said, just it's a fun little tune. Speaking of a fun tune, we got "Baby Drives Me Crazy" featuring one bluesy Huey Lewis on harmonica, which is awesome, right? Because a couple weeks ago we
totally.
talked about him, and there's a tie-in between him and Lionot as well. This tune's actually not on a studio album, which even adds to its allure. It's a great blues rock number and a perfect placement at second to last on the set list. Mark, back to you.
Yeah, I absolutely love how he nails that classic blues call
Oh,
and response number with the band, and like, and he has a lot of fun with it.
he
"Baby Drive
does.
Me Crazy" is a great number, and do not underestimate Huey Lewis's abilities with harmonica
Oh, it's
because
so
it's
good.
fucking badass, dude.
Oh, he's great. Fantastic.
Yeah. So the last track, track 17, I can't believe we powered through this so quick, Frank.
Whew.
The Rocker from the Vagabonds of the Western World. Worth noting here, this is the only song not from an album of the Scott Graham and Brian Robinson era.
Right?
This is pre them, but it's the album before. On the surface, this is kind of a classic 70s tough guy rock and roll number about being a tough guy rock and roller. Um, it's a dynamic and fun number, and at first it feels slightly out of place as the closer, but as you get familiar with the band and this record and realize it's kind of the perfect number for Thin Lizzy to close on because it's just so energetic and it climaxes beautifully in this performance. And it's kind of a perfect metaphor for the band's philosophy of rock and roll above all, and what it means to embrace that kind of idea, no matter how it looks to others. So I really dig this and think it's a great closing track.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. The placement of that's perfect.
So, you guys have figured this out already, right? No spoiler alerts really on this one. I loved this fucking record. It shows beyond a shadow of a doubt that Thin Lizzy is a truly amazing hard rock band. It's unfortunate they get lumped into that generic 70s vanilla rock era, and not seen for the pioneering work that they really did produce. Between the twin lead guitars, and burning a path between hard rock and heavy metal and blues. Um, and there's many signs of punk rock in here, from some really lightning fast palm muting parts, and then songs about religion and some real honest things that rock and roll wasn't quite talking about yet, but we would know to be true in punk rock some years later. I really think they did a lot more than they get credit for. Um, yeah, I want you listeners who at home who haven't checked out this record to do so. Check out this record. It's a gateway drug. A gateway drug for what? Great question, Frank. I'm happy you asked. More Thin Lizzy.
That's
And
right.
I promise you, that is a good thing, Frank.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I loved how you said that right there. So, what can I say other than I wish I gotten more into them when I was younger. However, they might not have had the same impact as they're having on me right now. So maybe the timing is perfect. I'm going on record. Well, check out this record to say
Mhm.
that Lizzie is not only one of the most underrated rock bands of all time, but one of the best. I mean, the dueling solos were taken by bands like Priest, Maiden, and Leopard. So that alone for influences says something. I'm not saying Lizzie invented it by any means. I'm just saying they applied it in a way to make a major impact. The songs we have here are timeless. I mean, you could play this record in 2021, 31, 41, and just be impressed all over again. The songs are not corny at all. at all, which some of the music of this time tends to be. These guys were real rockers, and they personified the genre with amazing songwriting and equally amazing musicianship. So, in a time when Ireland was into Celtic and old standards, right, which is really the vibe of when they were coming up, they wanted rock, and it crosses that line of hard rock and metal. And Mark, as you even said, like even a little punk elements, while making it accessible for fans of both. I mean, songs like Massacre, Southbound, Dancing in the Moonlight, Still in Love with You are absolute classics. These songs are the best quality of what they were trying to be done for songs of this lyrical content and musical structures. They're the band to think about when you think of Irish musicians and bands. So take your U2, place them on the shelf for a while.
I believe you meant to say trash can.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Trash can for a while, and get entrenched into Thin Lizzy. If you haven't already, you won't be disappointed. In fact, I find it insulting that U2 is considered a higher tier band than Thin Lizzy. I understand you had Lynot's drug situation, which causes his untimely death. However, we immortalize Hendrix and Cobain and plenty more who have done the same. So why not we do that for Lina and Thin Lizzy in general? So that's my thoughts, Mark, and that was just a kick-ass album.
Hell yeah! I'm so stoked that you liked
Stoked. Yes, yes. So it had me thinking of then of our top 10. So
it.
technically, well, to some, Lizzie may be a tier down as far as people's awareness of it and the tracks, and we just uncovered a lot of deep tracks here. So let's do something where we do the top 10 deep tracks by bands you should know, or deep cuts by bands you should know. Um, and I think that's good. So we're gonna get really deep here, Mark, and I think that's a good way to do it. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, because I bring them up a lot, I'm omitting the Swinging Utters, Leatherface, and the Ramones, because I probably talk about them a little too much, and I like giving them credit when I do, but I wanted to focus on some other things. So that's why you won't hear me talk about Subterranean Jungle tonight.
Yeah,
Um,
and just so you know, both of us tried to put some different stuff in here, which I know
yeah,
which we accomplished. So go ahead, Mark. Sorry to interrupt.
absolutely no. My first choice at number 10 or whatever is a song called Chaos and Lawlessness from a band called Smart Bomb. It's the title track from their 2008 EP that clocks in just under 12 minutes and it's 8 tracks long. I was pretty inspired by this band. This is one of those bands that is overshadowed by the members being in more popular other bands. But Chaos and Lawlessness for me was this shining reminder of how much fun and danger punk rock can be. And I find myself circling back to it when my usual musical fixes start to feel flat. This record and this song in particular really just have an energy and a chaos that reminds me of what I loved so much about the genre.
Didn't we play a show with them?
We did play a show with them at a dance studio on the second floor. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. I remember that now.
That whole 8 track EP is on 1 7 inch and it's super heavy and it sounds fucking amazing.
And No Trigger is the other band they're affiliated with.
Yeah, and there's a few others too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
Mhm.
Now it's coming back to me.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. So my number 10 is a song Abused by the Downtown Struts. So most people don't know this band at all. And I don't even think they're active right now. I think they're doing something else. This song is from an EP where they changed their street punk sound to a more kind of, I guess, refined rock sound. Listen, this song touches on the singer's battle with being bipolar. And to me, it creates a real emotional roller coaster. I suggest you check out this tune because it's phenomenal. That's my number 10. Back to you, Mark.
Nice. So number 9 for me is a song called Windows Down from a band named Silent Majority. I'm a big fan of late 90s post-hardcore, particularly from the New York area, and it doesn't get any better than that than the band Silent Majority. Windows Down is a moving number about comparing life to the spray paint on train cars and watching that paint fade over the years and trying to do something about it, but knowing that it's essentially a useless task. Um, but you really get just this interesting post-hardcore look at what reflecting on life is, and it's a really cool number, a great band, and a song well worth your time. Frank,
Yeah, yeah, good tune right there, Mark.
thank you.
Number 9, this song is called Velveteen, and it's by the band Sponge. Yeah, the '90s alt rock band Sponge.
Mm.
On their second album, Wax Static, there's a hidden track, and it's just the singer Vinny and an acoustic guitar. It's very dark layered. It's filled with lots of imagery and has a great melody. It's a song that you're like, whoa, this band kind of wrote that. It's a really cool deep track. Obviously, it's a deep track. It's a hidden track, but check out the song Velveteen from the band Sponge from the 90s.
Whenever I hear Sponge, I think of that Seinfeld episode um, where Elaine can't get any more vaginal sponges. Anyways, track number 8, Words Written Over Coffee by the band The Right Before from their 2015 Fist Buried in Pockets album. This somber number features a harmonica over anarcho folk punk, and it's heartfelt, strained, and restrained singing. This song is pure heart. It's absolutely um, humbling and earnest in everything it does. It's got nothing but pure heart. Definitely check out Words Written Over Coffee.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. And they say you can't dance sexy to punk rock.
That's right.
Oh man, good stuff. Number 8 on my list is the song 39 by Queen. Yeah,
Yes, very
Queen.
cool.
Yeah, so a tune people may not know or may not think about when Queen is mentioned. This tune was written by Brian May and sung by him on the recording, but sung by Freddie Mercury live. It's a science fiction tale in a folk song's body. And in addition to that being a good song, it was covered by the Swing Gunners. So I got to mention the Swing Gunners on this list, Mark.
Well done.
But 39 is really a cool Queen song. So check that out. If you're a fan of Queen and you may not know this one, check out this one.
Yeah, my number 7 track is a favorite of the rhythm section, and by that I mean me and Frank.
Oh,
It's Without Love from
oh,
Propaganda off 2009 supporting cast. We get this beautiful exercise in thrash precision and genuine heartfelt lyrics that will bring you to tears if you take the time to really sit down and get into them. Phenomenal songwriting. This is, I told you last week about Bill Stevenson and his work at the Blasting Room. This song is off a record that was produced in that. It's fast, it's chaotic, it's honest, it's an absolutely amazing number.
one of my all-time favorite songs, and I'm gonna omit talking from it too much because I will get emotional on that one.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal.
Mhm.
Number 7 is a track called "The Wild One Forever," and it's by Tom Petty. And we're going back to his very first album. This is a beautiful tune. It's a great melody, has lots of heart, making it really his first ballad. That
Mhm.
album also has even more deep cuts if you get into it. Obviously, it concludes with American Girl, which everyone knows, but this album really too is phenomenal. And this song is pretty awesome. So, "The Wild One Forever," Tom Petty from the first album. Check it out.
Very cool, very cool. Another one that's a big favorite among Franks and myself, Citrus from the
Oh,
Hold Steady. This song sounds like you're finishing your third strong drink and working on coming to terms with your place in the world and getting lost back in that glass rather than deal with it. The Hold Steady can get you up and really rock your socks. So this toned down number is just this breath of fresh air. And even when it does pick up, you don't even realize that you're singing along and having fun, and everything for that moment just feels right.
oh man, and it's such a vulnerable tune also.
Mhm.
Um, oh, fantastic. I'm so stoked that you put that on
Hey,
your list.
Citrus, hey, Liquor. I love it when you get together.
Ah, phenomenal, phenomenal.
Mhm.
Next is a song called Church on Sunday. It's by Green Day, actually, off what I feel is their most underrated record, Warning. You have a
Mm.
great pop punk tune here. It's super catchy, great hooks, and it's a shame it's not performed more live. I think it's one of the better songs actually in their category. So if you love Green Day and you don't know Warning too much, give Warning a spin. Track 3, Church on Sunday. There you go.
There you go. For me, we're up to, I think, number 5 here, Frank. Uh, Get Down, Moses.
Oh man, you're just firing on all cylinders, dude.
Yeah, the legendary Joe Strummer, former frontman from The Clash, gave us this dance hall rager in 2003.
So
And
good.
I haven't been the same since I've heard it. It's one of those tracks that'll just pull you right back out onto the dance floor, no matter where you are, and right into the place you need to be. There's something about Joe Strummer singing, the rhythm. He has an ability to hypnotize you, and never is it more clear on Get Down Moses.
Oh, phenomenal song, phenomenal. All right, next we are getting Untitled by Social D, Social Distortion. It's from White Light, White Heat, White Trash. This one sneaks up on you because at first you're like, okay, isn't going anywhere, and you had really, it's track 3 on the record. You had Dear Lover, then you had Don't Drag Me Down, really great rocking tracks, and you're like, all right, it's not going anywhere, and then this well done chorus comes up, and you appreciate it more with the verses and mixed with a good solo and these loud blaring guitars, which that whole album has. It's a great Social D tune, man, and I think it's underrated, and it's called Untitled. So Untitled by Social D.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal record. If you're a casual Social D fan, put that thing on. Just let it ride. It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
My next choice is called Zing Pong
Zing Pong.
by None More Black. This is, yeah, it's pretty standard issue fun for a band like None More Black. It doesn't particularly carve out anything different than you would expect from the band, except that it's just an excuse to say their name and hope one more person goes and listens to None More Black because they're awesome. This song is fun, and it's got that kind of fun bass line that reminds me of the DuckTales theme.
Yeah.
So there's that. But hey, look, pull up some None More Black, listen to Zing Pong, have a great time. The dude's amazing.
Yeah. They need a new album. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Hmm.
Love it. Love that song. The next, which is my number 4, is a song called Ambrosia by a band Field Report. Um, this falls into the cracks of the artist you should know category. It's taken from their album Marigolden, excuse me. I think it's one of the most vulnerable songs and honest and tender songs ever written. It's like an open sore that keeps growing bigger and bigger, and it's brilliant. I get chills listening to it. It's therapy. It's an incredible tune, incredible lyrics, and you could feel what the singer Christopher Porterfield, which if you change it around is Field Report, is trying to say. So Ambrosia, Field Report, check out Field Report in general. Great stuff. Mark,
Very cool. My next track is called New Folk Song. It's by Paint
Painted
It
Black.
Black. Growing up, folk music was always pretty present as my mother adored it. So when one of my favorite Philly hardcore bands put out a track called New Folk Song that took the idea of If I Had a Hammer and applied it to 2008 and the failures of what the old folk movement was about, it registered pretty close to home to me, as you can imagine. I always felt like the hippies and the old folk singers who just wanted, peace and positive change had sold us out, and they did. And they left us a world of globalization that no longer cared for the people that made it profitable for them. So fuck those people. Painted Black absolutely nailed it out of the park for me on this one. It's aggressive. It's honest. It's a really cool track. If you're not into Painted Black, check them out. They've got some amazing records that will just get you like peeling your skin back. They're just like so intense. They're really cool.
Yeah, and there's so many 7 degrees here too, because obviously there's connection between them and None More Black with Kid Dynamite, and then we saw None More Black. Correct me if I'm no, we saw Painted Black Mark open for Propagandhi when we saw them. So
You sure did.
yep. So good stuff right there. Very
Mm-hmm.
very enjoyable show. Um, so I have to mention Springsteen on a list, right? So here we go. Mary Queen of Arkansas. Um,
Mm.
yeah, from his first record. This song, ah, this song, it's amazing. It's a great story of a relationship or longing for one with someone who's so out of reach due to what could be a class structure or whatever the role is and whatever the capacity is that they both share. Listen, it's a phenomenal piece of art. Early Springsteen is phenomenal. Springsteen fans in general may not know that something like this was penned by him. It's phenomenal. Mary Queen of Arkansas, a fantastic song from start to finish.
Yeah, back from when he was genuinely getting Dylan comparisons, right? And people weren't
Yeah,
being sarcastic about it.
you're right.
Great, absolutely great tune.
Yeah,
And I love the way he stretches his voice beyond really what he's capable of and gives the song a real vulnerability to it.
totally.
Really fantastic performance. Excellent choice, dude. So for me, track choice number 2 is Show Me on the Doll, Where the Music Touched You, by friends of the show, Red City Radio. I'm just saying that because I want them to be my friend.
Yes,
Off their 2013 album Titles. This is one of those amazing songs that helps bring some light into a dark world and reminds us of what we love and keeps us moving. And that it's truly powerful and always helps pull me kind of out of the funk. This is one of those great reminders of how powerful music can be.
Yeah, and because we reviewed them recently with our last episode of 2020, it's kind of like the theme from that album Paradise as well,
A little bit.
which Red City Radio does so well. It's, hey,
Mhm.
this is dark, but there is going to be a light, and we're going to provide that to you. And thank you, our friends, Red City Radio, for doing so. Oh man. All right. So next is an old tune I have on my list. It's called
Mm.
Tornado by Dale Hawkins. So this is going deep down to the roots of psychobilly and early rockabilly. Hawkins in 56 took this early style of rock and roll and put some blues into it, creating what was known as swamp rock boogie. Um, Tornado is a great example of really rock and roll, and you can see where it eventually gets picked up as an influence for psychobilly. And Mark, you know how much I love psychobilly and a good mesh up. So yeah, check out some early rooted stuff, guys.
Very nice. So my last pick, Frank, here is "Birthday IOU" from
Oh,
All. I mentioned Bill Stevenson earlier and last week in our conversation about artists in multiple projects, and this is just one of those amazing songs he wrote. Given the chance, will absolutely break your heart with its honesty and its really straightforward lyrical content. The song rocks itself, but
yeah,
if you take a minute to really look at what he's saying, you will break your own heart. And it's just really amazing to me when an artist can do that and you can empathize with them fully.
absolutely. And all versions of this are great. The live
Mhm.
version, great song, great
Yeah.
song. And last on my list, I have a song called Daisy Train by Scorpios. Scorpios is
Oh.
a side supergroup with Lagwagon's Joey Cape, John Snodgrass, and the late, great Tony Sly from No Use for a Name. This one's super touching, especially as Tony is the lead vocals here. And a year after this release, he will be gone. It's a simple and a spiritual vibe song. It's tender, it has lush harmonies, tear jerking moments. Really is. It's a great tune to check out. If you know No Use for a Name and you know that Tony Sly passed, a couple years back, and then you listen to this, you know, just be prepared to let out some tears. But yeah, I think, man, Mark, I think the both of us did a fantastic job with these deep tracks for people.
Yeah, we really got sad there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did at the end. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's all right. Oh boy, that was one heck of an episode there, Frank. What do we got lined up for the old next week?
Well, Mark, I'm amped about a new record coming out by a band that you had on your list, and that's
Mm,
the Hold Steady. So
mm.
we talk about them a lot, but they have a new record coming out called Open Door Policy. I'm
Oh.
also interested in how they evolve, yet still bringing their brand of rock and roll to the table. Let's see if they could really capture the moment that really hooked me and you, Mark, on like Boys and Girls in America and Stay Positive, which are great, great records.
Mhm.
I'm really amped to hear what they have to bring to the table. What about you? You feel the same?
Yeah, I'm always interested to see what they bring. They always manage to change just a little bit in between each record and have a little something different to say or to feel. I'm a big fan of the Hold Steady. I don't know that they get quite the credit they deserve.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is one of those Minnesota by way of New York bands that always manages to pull out some heart that we just don't expect to see coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm amped for it. I know Mark
Mhm.
is. So I hope everyone else is out there. Hey, everyone, thank you for listening. Remember, like, subscribe, let us know what albums we could review for you. Um, really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us. Stay safe out there.
Bye bye.
Boom.